served for 25 years in the armed forces, I have had the opportunity of going around almost the entire length and breadth of India. Been very lucky in this regard. I've seen so many different places, so many different kinds of cultures, so many different people, speaking so many different languages, living in so many different kinds of ways. It only served to emphasize the amazing variety that our country represents, the amazing amalgamation of various kinds of people, cultures, religions, languages into one holistic body which represents the modern India of today. So it's been a long and amazing journey which has only served to emphasize the diversity that this country has and the unity which binds it together. That is an amazing phenomena, considering that in most countries of the world you find just one religion, just people speaking just one language, and having only one culture usually. Wherever there are differences between people, their cultures, their religions, there have always been conflicts all over the world. But this country of ours, this amazing country of ours, is an amalgamation of hundreds and thousands of different kinds of cultures and languages and ways of life and religions, and still we are one people. We are still all Indians, and we are so proud of our country, so fiercely proud to be Indian. So that is, I think, one of our greatest strengths as a nation, and one of the assets that will make us one of the superpowers in the years to come. Already the Indian economy is growing at a very healthy rate compared to the world economy, and if the predictions of our financial experts come to they actually are realized, the Indian economy will probably become the third largest economy in the next decade or so. So all of this would make us one of the biggest powers in the world in the near future, and the basis on which it would be built would be our diversity, which is bound together by our own unity. So unity in diversity, as the slogan goes, that really represents the modern India. In my own case, I've had the luxury of being able to live and work and travel and meet people from corners of the country as remote as Arunachal Pradesh, right down to the south to Kanyakumari, or to the east, to the remote corners of eastern India, and across again to the west. Wherever I've gone, I've found people looking different, wearing different kinds of clothes. Their traditional clothes are different, although many of them wear the modern Indian. The youngsters, especially, they all wear modern clothes. But if you see the traditional clothing, it's different in every region, and the way they live, their lifestyles, their family lives, the food they eat, the religious practices that they follow, it's all different. And it's been a great privilege to be exposed to all of that, and I can say with a certain amount of pride that I feel comfortable in all these different kinds of environments in different areas of this country, and I truly consider myself to be an Indian in that sense. If I talk about the people in Arunachal Pradesh, they look different from us. They really don't look like the people from, say, the plains of the West. They don't speak the same language. they don't follow the same culture. They don't have the same kind of religious ceremonies. But amazingly, when it comes to when you talk to them, uh, amazing, it's English, which still is the most common language spoken all across India. So if you are able to talk to them in English, finally, the feeling that you get at the end of a conversation with a person from, say, Arunachal Pradesh is that ultimately he also considers himself to be as Indian as someone from, say, the plains of Western UP or Madhya Pradesh, or any other such place. So that is the kind of strength that we have as a country, where people who are basically different in many ways. Sometimes I feel that they're different in every possible way, but we all amalgamate into one homogeneous whole and come together as a country, as a people. We are all Indians. So that, as I said, is probably our greatest strength. And this is something which will definitely stand us in very good stead as we move forward towards becoming a global superpower. The area which is earlier called the Northeastern Frontier Agency, or the NEFA, if you go there even today, you would find so many reminders of the past, of the war that we fought against China in 1962, or even of the Second World War. We have these Second World War cemeteries at Kohima, at a place called Digboy in Assam, and many various other places. You have small cemeteries. You have a really large cemetery at Kohima in Nagaland, which is basically a graveyard of soldiers who fell during the Burma campaign of the Second World War. And this cemetery is maintained by the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. It's really beautifully tended, and it's an amazing piece of history that we have in that area. Similarly, we also have other such memorials and reminders of our past campaigns in that area with the Japanese or with the Chinese subsequently, and especially the 62 war memorials. You come across these boards which say that when you go home, tell them of us and say that for your tomorrow we gave our today. It's so touching to see these kinds of memorials and read the inscriptions on the various headstones and the tablets that have been erected in the memory of those young soldiers who sacrificed their lives in these inhospitable regions, very high mountains and snow and difficult terrain. And you really wonder at the kind of valor and the kind of bravery that these very young men had, who just without a second thought laid down their lives so that the rest of us in India could be safe. And that brings to my mind another story about a pass called the Sela Pass, which is at about 14,300 feet altitude, which takes you into the Tawang Valley, coming from Tezpur in Assam, or you move into the Tawang Valley, crossing Sela Pass. Now, just beyond Sela, as you enter into the Tawang Valley, is a place called Jaswantgarh, where, as the legend goes, when the Chinese attacked us in 1962, there was a small picket of the Garhwal Rifles who was stationed there at that particular place, which is at an altitude of almost 11,000 feet. And this entire unit was in danger of being overrun by the advancing Chinese army. So they really had no option at that point of time but to retreat. to protect themselves so that they could live to fight another day.